True strength is not shouting. It is mastering one's own tone. And today, power changes its form. In the last few days, the journey was inward. It was about silence, about listening, about finding balance in a noisy world. It was a necessary retreat, a pause to recalibrate the inner compass. But that time has ended. The peace you cultivated was not meant to be kept in a sanctuary. It was forged to be used as a weapon, the most elegant of all. Today, the energy shifts from passive to active, from contemplation to influence. The moon's entry into Libra no longer asks you to find balance. It demands that you embody it, that you become the point of stability from which the environment is commanded. This is not a video about lightness, it is about weight, the weight of presence, the authority that is born not from the volume of the voice, but from the precision of the gesture. It is a manual for energetic royalty, for the art of effortlessly mastering your field, of influencing without imposing, of winning without fighting. It is the moment to transform composure into command and grace into its highest degree of power. To begin this new cycle of dominion, your first action is a decree, an affirmation that seals the end of introspection and the beginning of your conscious influence. Use the space below to declare your new way of operating in the world. Write, I act with precision. Until yesterday, strength was measured in decibels. It was the intensity of the argument, the speed of action, the visible passion of effort. Power belonged to those who could push the hardest, who shouted the loudest, who occupied the most space with their noise. We learned to respect the energy of disruption, of impact, of the force that announces itself with thunder. But today, the rules of the game change. The moon enters Libra, and with it, a new physics of power settles in the air. Influence no longer belongs to the force that pushes, but to the presence that pulls. The strength that came from intensity was a force of conquest. It required constant effort, a perpetual demonstration, an incessant burning of energy to maintain its position. It was the power of attack. The strength that emerges today, the one born from composure, has a completely different nature. It is not a force of conquest, but of dominion. It does not need to attack, because its territory is impregnable. It is its own center. It does not need to shout, because its stillness is what commands attention. It does not need to show off, because its containment is its greatest demonstration of power. This is where true mastery begins. Whoever masters their own rhythm begins to dictate the environment. Think about this. When you enter a space where everyone is rushing, anxious, reacting to one another, your nervous system is immediately invited to join that chaotic dance. If you give in, you become just another piece in the chaos. But if you deliberately maintain your own rhythm, a slower, heavier, more present rhythm, something extraordinary happens. Your stability creates an anomaly in the field. Your calm becomes a point of gravity. Unconsciously, the people around you begin to feel your coherent presence, and their rhythm, without them realizing why, starts to slow down to try to sync with yours. You did not give a single order. You did not say a single word. You just mastered your own time. And in doing so, you began to master the time of the space you inhabit. This is the day when magnetism speaks louder than discourse. Discourse is an attempt to convince the logical mind. It is a useful but limited tool. Magnetism, on the other hand, is soul-to-soul communication, from energetic field to energetic field. It is your internal coherence speaking directly to the coherence, or lack thereof, of others. When you are in a state of composure, of self-mastery, your energy becomes smooth, dense, like the surface of an obsidian lake. There are no cracks, no noise, no reactivity. This integrity creates a powerful magnetic field. People are drawn to this solidity, not because they understand what you are saying, but because they feel the truth of what you are. This is the power that cannot be explained, because it cannot be dissected by logic. It has to be felt. It is the silent authority of one who no longer needs to prove anything, because their presence is the proof of everything. Today, forget the need to convince. Abandon the urgency to explain. Your only job is to cultivate that composure, that mastery over your own rhythm, and to observe, like a silent sovereign, how the world begins to reorganize itself around your new and unshakable presence. There is a profound and widespread misinterpretation of the energy that governs us today. Its association with the scales, with diplomacy, and with the search for peace has led to a dangerous conclusion that it is passive, indecisive, weak. But this is the profane view, the superficial reading of an immensely sophisticated force. The energy of Libra is not passive, it is precise. Do not mistake its pause for hesitation, it is calculation. Do not confuse its stillness with submission, it is observation. Its refusal to enter the battle is not a sign of fear. It is the serene confidence of the master who knows the battle is already won, not by force, but by strategy. While the world, in its eagerness to prove its worth, wastes energy reacting, the Libran energy does the opposite. It withdraws into a state of active observation. Think about this. A reaction is a spasm, a conditioned reflex. It is a loss of power, a confession that your inner peace is at the mercy of an external trigger. To react is to become a pawn on someone else's chessboard, moved by their provocation, controlled by their agenda. It is the amateur's way. The master, however, never reacts. They observe, adjust, and only then decide. Their stillness is not a void. It is a process of data collection of overwhelming intensity. In that silence, they read the entire room. They observe the alliances that form and dissolve. Notice the body language that betrays the bravado of words. Listen to the insecurities that hide behind the strongest opinions. They allow all the other players to show their cards first. They allow the chaos to reveal its own patterns, the noise to expose its own weaknesses. And from this place of total information, their eventual action is not a shot in the dark, but a scalpel strike, executed with surgical precision, at the exact point of maximum effectiveness and minimum effort. Their apparent inaction was, in fact, their most powerful preparation. That is why command is not in the volume, but in the posture. Real authority does not need to raise its voice. Its posture, its contained presence, speaks much louder. It is the unshakable calm in the midst of the storm. It is the steady gaze that does not judge, but sees everything. It is the economy of movement that communicates that no energy is wasted. This posture creates a force field. It communicates on a subconscious level that you are not being affected by the chaos, and if you are not being affected, it is because, somehow, you master it. This stability is magnetically attractive and deeply intimidating to those who depend on noise to feel powerful. Today, practice this. Enter a conversation, not with the goal of speaking, but with the goal of understanding the power dynamics that are taking place. Observe who needs to dominate the space, who seeks validation, who shrinks. Just observe. Resist the temptation to intervene, to give your opinion, to fix the situation. By doing this, you are training your muscle of real power. You are learning to separate yourself from the drama and become the observer. Over time, something extraordinary will begin to happen. Today, whoever knows how to wait for the right moment becomes the reference point. When confusion sets in and no one knows what to do, All eyes, instinctively, turn to the calmest and most present person in the room. They turn to you, because in chaos, stability is the only currency that has value. Your containment will have built a silent reputation for wisdom and strength, and your word, when it is finally spoken, rare, precise, and born of deep observation, will not just be heard. It will be obeyed, not out of fear, but out of a profound respect for the authority you have earned, not by shouting, but by mastering the art of knowing exactly when to be silent. We were taught to separate substance from style, to believe that what really matters is what is said, not how it is said, that the strength of an idea exists independently of its presentation. Style, in this paradigm, is relegated to an adornment, a superficial layer of aesthetics, a dispensable vanity. But this is the logic of the profane world, a view that ignores the fundamental physics of power. Today's energy reveals a much deeper truth. Style is not the opposite of substance, it is its most potent form. Style is the spiritual form of dominion. It is strategy made visible. Think of the masters of any art: a great leader, a brilliant artist, an invincible strategist. What defines them is not just what they do, but the unmistakable way they do it. It is their signature, it is their style. And that style is not by chance. It is the external manifestation of an immense internal mastery. It is the proof that their coherence is so deep that it overflows into every gesture, every word, every silence. Today, you are invited to understand that your every micro-movement is a communication of power, or the lack of it. Start with your body, your first and most honest ambassador. Observe the difference between reactive movement and the deliberate gesture. Reactive movement is waste. It is the leg shaking with anxiety, the hands gesturing without purpose, the body shrinking in submission or expanding in bravado. These are energy leaks, unconscious transmissions of instability. The deliberate gesture, on the other hand, is contained power. It is the economy of movement of one who knows they do not need to rush. It is the hand that rests calmly, the gaze that holds without aggression, the posture that remains erect without rigidity. Each of these gestures is a silent decree. They communicate on a pre-verbal level that you are in control of your own field, that you are not reactive, but the cause. From there, style extends to your word, and more importantly, to your silence. Silence, as we have seen, is a tool of observation. But in the hands of a strategist, it also becomes a weapon. It is the silence that follows a question, a pause slightly longer than comfortable, that forces the other to reveal more than they intended. It is the silence that refuses to validate a provocation, letting it die in the air, emptied of its power. It is the silence that gives immense weight to the word that precedes it and the one that follows. Your communication style today is measured not by your eloquence, but by your mastery of the pause. Each of these elements, the gesture, the word, the silence, communicates power, but not the power that imposes, that forces, that shouts. That is the raw, inefficient power of fear. Style cultivates a power of a higher order, the power that no one dares to ignore. It is an authority that does not need to be announced because it is felt. It is the difference between a guard shouting orders and a queen raising an eyebrow. Both can achieve the same result, but the level of mastery is incomparable. That is why elegance is the most difficult energetic field to break. Aggression feeds on reaction. Chaos needs a rough surface to cling to. Manipulation looks for cracks in your armor. Elegance, in its state of coherence and containment, offers none of that. It is a smooth, polished, impenetrable surface. An attempt at verbal attack, confronted with a calm and precise response, loses its force. An attempt to rush you, confronted with your deliberate pace, seems childish. Elegance does not fight against chaos. It makes it irrelevant. It operates on such a different frequency that lower energies simply cannot find resonance. Today's invitation is to become the curator of your own style. This is not a performance for others, but an act of alignment for yourself. It is the conscious choice of your posture, your tone of voice, your cadence. It is treating every interaction, no matter how trivial, as an opportunity to practice your mastery. In doing so, you cease to be a mere reactant to circumstances and become the composer of your own reality, where every note, every pause, and every gesture contributes to the symphony of your silent power. The energy that settles in today is not just a tool for your use, it is also an environment, an ecosystem with its own laws. And the main law of this ecosystem is that of selective resonance. The moon, upon entering the sign of Libra, does not bring with it a forced peace, but rather an invisible filter, a filter of relentless precision, whose sole function is to separate the coherent from the chaotic. Think of this as a process of purifying your field of reality. Everything that is not refined, everything that vibrates at the frequency of disorder, drama, and imprecision simply cannot pass through. It falls away. This filter is not an external force protecting you. It is not a magic shield that the universe places around you. It is a direct consequence of your own state of being. Your role, your single and most important task today, is to maintain a high standard. It is you, through your internal mastery, who calibrates the fineness of this filter. The higher and more precise your own frequency, the more impenetrable it becomes to low-vibration energies. Observe how this manifests in your day. Uncontrolled people, those who feed on your reaction, who thrive on drama, suddenly find your presence uncomfortable. Your calmness is a mirror that reflects their chaos, and the ego cannot bear that kind of reflection. They will try to provoke you, to pull you into the familiar dance of reactivity, but your composure offers them no hook, no surface to cling to, and frustrated by your stability, they will move away, not because you pushed them out, but because your energetic environment has become inhospitable to the kind of disorder they need to feel alive. Confusing situations, vague proposals, ill-defined plans, everything that once might have seduced you with its nebulous potential, today reveals its lack of substance under the incisive gaze of your clarity. Your filter of precision does not allow illusion to pass. You look at an opportunity and immediately see its flaws, its incongruities. Your tolerance for ambiguity drastically decreases. You demand clarity not out of aggression, but because your system can no longer process the static of imprecision. What is not clear and direct simply does not enter your field of consideration. And, perhaps most importantly, your own mental noise, the anxiety, the self-criticism, the loop of worries, encounters immense resistance. It is as if your mind, once fertile ground for these weeds, has become a polished, non-porous soil. The anxious thought tries to take root, but finds nowhere to hold on, and dissolves. Self-criticism arises out of habit, but it echoes in a space of such dignity that its voice seems ridiculous, out of place. By maintaining your standard of presence and precision, you are creating an internal environment where your own chaos can no longer survive. The mechanism behind this is simple. Chaos cannot withstand one who vibrates with precision. Disorder is an entropic energy, which needs to constantly feed on more disorder to exist. Your presence, when held in a state of coherence and mastery, is a force of order, of syntropy. It does not fight against chaos, it simply does not feed it. and what is not fed dies. Therefore, your job today is not to clean up the world, but to refuse to let the world's dirt into your sacred space. It is an act of relentless curation. You choose your thoughts with the care of a master jeweler. You choose your words with the precision of a poet. You choose your actions with the deliberation of a strategist. By maintaining this standard, you are not just protecting your peace, you are becoming an active force of order in the world. You become the filter, and everything that passes through you and everything that emanates from you will carry the unmistakable signature of your elegance and your power. In a world that confuses speed with effectiveness and reaction with strength, calmness has become a misunderstood virtue. It is often associated with passivity, weakness, a lack of passion, or initiative. But this is the reading of the reckless warrior, the gambler who bets all their chips on the first hand. Today's energy, with its demand for precision and mastery, invites us to unveil the true power that hides in stillness. Calmness is not weakness, it is calculation. It is the operational state of a mind that has reached its highest level of performance. Think of the state of flow, that peak of performance where athletes, artists, and strategists describe time slowing down and their actions becoming perfect and effortless. That state is not a peak of chaotic adrenaline. It is a peak of focused calm. It is the moment when the noise of the ego, the fear of failure, the craving for victory is completely silenced, allowing intuition and trained skill to operate in perfect synergy. Calmness is not the absence of intensity, it is the absence of friction. It is your energy flowing purely and directly to the task at hand, without being wasted on internal resistance or external reactivity. One who observes with serenity sees the patterns before others do. The anxious mind, the reactive mind, is trapped in the immediate present, dealing with the next threat, putting out the next fire. Its vision is short, its strategy non-existent. The calm mind, on the contrary, can pull back. It does not let itself be hypnotized by the chaotic movement of the individual pieces on the board. It sees the entire game. From this elevated observation point, the patterns become visible. You see the sequence of events that leads to the problem before it manifests. You anticipate your opponent's move, not by guesswork, but because your calmness allows you to see the inevitable logic behind their actions. You perceive the subtle opportunities that the panicked mind, focused only on survival, is unable to detect. That is why today is an eminently strategic day. Every decision made from a place of inner peace, of calculated calm, is not just a decision, it is an act of mastery. It is you moving your pieces on the board, not in reaction to the other's game, but in alignment with your own vision of long-term victory. This is the difference between being reactive and being proactive, between being a victim of circumstances and being the architect of them. It is not the time to run, to rush, to try to force a result. It is time to move with purpose. Purpose is intention turned into a vector. A movement without purpose is just agitation, a waste of energy. A movement with purpose is a precise strike, and purpose can only be truly discerned from a state of calm. Anxiety lies. It tells you that everything is urgent, that everything is important. Calmness, on the contrary, reveals the truth. It allows you to differentiate the signal from the noise, the essential from the trivial. It gives you the clarity to focus your immense strength on a single leverage point, the point that, with the minimum of effort, will create the maximum impact. The most powerful act you can practice today is to deliberately cultivate this state. When you feel the pressure mounting, the urgency screaming, resist the impulse to accelerate. Instead, do the opposite. Slow down. Breathe. Create a pocket of silence, even if it's for 30 seconds. In that space, ask yourself, what is the most intelligent move here? Not the fastest. What is the action that is born from my strength and not from my fear? This pause is not a waste of time. It is your greatest strategic investment. It is the moment when you refuse to be a pawn and take your place as the player. It is the intelligence of calmness taking the reins, guiding you not to the noisy victory of the moment, but to the silent and lasting mastery of the entire game. We have been taught to admire effort, to applaud the visible struggle, but there is a level of power that transcends the need to fight. A power that does not push, but that pulls with an irresistible force. This is the power of magnetism, and its source is not an esoteric mystery, but a principle of almost mathematical precision. Coherence. It is the state in which there is no distance, no dissonance between what you think, what you say, and what your body communicates. When your mind, your voice, and your body say the exact same thing at the same time, no one doubts. Think of the person who lacks coherence. Their mind may have an intention, but their voice trembles with insecurity. Their words may be strong, but their body shrinks, contradicting every syllable. This person emits multiple, often conflicting frequencies. Their energetic field is noisy, full of static. And our nervous system, which is an extraordinarily sensitive truth detector, perceives this dissonance instantly. We do not trust them, not because they are lying, but because they are not whole. They are not in possession of themselves. The energy that the moon in Libra activates today is an invitation to achieve this state of total alignment. The source of true power. The coherent mind is singular in its focus. It is not divided between what it wants to say and what it thinks it should say. Its intention is clear, clean, undivided. The coherent voice is the perfect vehicle for that intention. It does not need to rise because its resonance comes not from volume, but from its truth. It is calm. It is measured. Each word lands with the weight of conviction. And finally, the coherent body is the final seal, the irrefutable proof. It is the absence of nervous tics, the economy of movement, the posture that is simultaneously relaxed and powerful. The body does not lie, and when it reflects the calm of the mind and the tone of the voice, the message becomes unbreakable. When these three centers, mental, vocal, and physical, align, they stop emitting three weak signals and start emitting a single, powerful frequency. It is like tuning three strings of an instrument to vibrate in perfect harmony, creating a rich, pure, and resonant note. It is this unified frequency that generates magnetism. People are drawn to this coherence, not for a logical reason, but for a visceral one. In a world of noise and dissonance, your presence becomes an anchor of reality, a point of stability. They feel your integrity, even if they cannot name it. This is where the effort disappears. The incoherent person needs to strive to convince, to prove, to justify. The coherent person simply is. Their presence does the work for them. This state of effortless flow, of power without aggression, of influence without manipulation, has a name. And coherence is the hidden name of grace. Grace is not a quality that is learned or performed. It is the inevitable result of being so deeply aligned, so at home in your own being, that your actions flow from your center without any internal resistance. It is the absence of friction manifesting as elegance. Today, the invitation is not to try to be powerful. It is to commit so radically to your own coherence that power becomes its natural consequence. Today, power changes its tone, from the shout to the gesture, from haste to presence. The time of retreat has ended. The peace you cultivated in recent days was not a final destination, but the forge where your new authority was tempered. This is the day to use that calm, not as a refuge, but as a force, and to understand that grace is just coherence made visible. Today's lesson is simple. Master your own field with the elegance of one who knows they do not need to fight to win, because their presence already commands the space. If this message resonated with your new posture of power, anchor it, like this video, as a seal of your mastery, and share it with someone who is ready to trade brute force for magnetic influence. To discover that true authority is silent, to declare your new mode of operation, to affirm your sovereignty with the highest precision, go to the comments and write the decree that will define your new era of influence. I act with precision. Don't forget to subscribe. Mastery is an art that is practiced every day, and we will continue to refine it together.